Where do you see prices for Ether going?
Well, I looked at some research from Sean Farrell, who's our head of digital asset strategy, and he put out a presentation about Ethereum today. So he thinks the ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin could go back to its 2021 highs, which is about 0.14. That would value Ethereum today at around 16,000, and it's currently 3,700. So he's just saying Bitcoin ratio versus ETH, let's get back to where it was 5 years ago, which makes sense because it's a better story today than it was in 2021. And that gets you, close to 16,000.
So you heard it right there. That was Fundstrat's Tom Lee, Wall Street legend, suggesting on CNBC about a week ago that we could see ETH priced at $16,000. I've also heard $30,000, and some are even saying 100x. Get it in line, guys. Come on. Anyway, $16,000. Heck of a prediction. But what makes it particularly interesting is that Tom's calls over this last year have been pretty damn on point. Basically, he's been on the bullhorn constantly declaring that even though equity markets have seemed overheated or they've seemed scary, that we're going to continue to make new all-time highs. And he has so far been correct. Optimists always win in the end anyway. Screw the bears. Well, what about his Ethereum prediction? Interesting. Specifically, is a $16,000 price tag for ETH realistic for this cycle? That's the question for today. And we're going to look at the larger fundamental factors for Ethereum, explore the charts here, and talk about the timing of all this in order to try and get a better handle on, well, what the heck is even possible here? Can we really see a $16,000 Ethereum? So, since we're on the subject of Tom Lee, let's circle back to this CNBC interview and listen to his reasoning for why he is so bullish on Ethereum. So basically, he's currently detailing ETH's fundamental catalysts. Now, understand that Tom Lee is also the chair of BitMine, which is a publicly traded ETH treasury company. I own that, by the way. So he's got a vested interest in seeing ETH do extremely well. His company will do better in that situation. But I still think we need to listen carefully to what he's saying, and then we're going to discuss here.
In 2025, a couple things are happening around Ethereum. The first is the Genius Act is now making stable coins kind of green lighted, which is the ChatGPT moment for crypto, but it needs a smart contract, so it doesn't work on Bitcoin. The second is the SEC is pushing forward with Project Crypto, which is actually asking Wall Street to move the entire financial system onto the blockchain. Ethereum is the preferred choice for Wall Street because it's had zero downtime since inception, matching what the banks want, 100% uptime. It's also the most legally compliant and secure blockchain because it's recognized in the US and it's the second largest blockchain. And the third is almost all of it is taking place on Ethereum. JP Morgan's building their stablecoin on Ethereum. Robinhood is tokenizing on Ethereum. The custody banks are doing it on Ethereum. So it's really where Wall Street meets, but that's also where AI is meeting crypto. Because as you know, as we tokenize and move towards robots, you need a token economy to control them, which is taking place on Ethereum.
Tom basically laid out 3 reasons for why he sees ETH doing so well moving forward. Reason 1, the Genius Act is the ChatGPT moment for crypto. I dig it. Now, I've talked about this regularly, so I think Tom is right here. The Genius Act will take the stablecoin market cap from its current hundreds of billions to the trillions with a T. It's going to get crazy. That's a lot of liquidity in the market. That doesn't happen overnight. It's happening over the next few years. Just like he said, these stablecoins need smart contracts, so a lot of that business goes to Ethereum. Solana also is a big beneficiary here, of course, but got to talk your books right. Reason number 2, Tom says that the SEC is asking Wall Street to move the entire financial system onto the blockchain via an SEC initiative called Project Crypto. Okay? Now, while Tom might have overstated this with the word entire, he's definitely pointing to the right direction. And guess who agrees with him? Larry effing Fink, okay, the CEO of BlackRock, who's been calling for the tokenization of literally everything, okay? The SEC did announce Project Crypto earlier this month, and according to a report from Bernstein, part of the project is actually aimed at the tokenization of stocks and bonds, moving them on-chain. Of course, makes sense. Bring more bonds on-chain, bring more liquidity to bonds, America wins. Bring more money to stocks, open it up for a wider variety of people on chain, America wins. It's all going to come in for 24-hour trading as well, meaning the casino is never going to close. Now, Tom laid out the case for why Wall Street will use Ethereum, zero downtime, second largest blockchain, legally compliant and secure, and I agree with all that, okay? And indeed, we're already seeing signs that Wall Street is moving towards Ethereum, which of course was Tom's third point. So I've got a few examples of this for you, but before we get into that, guys, who's going to give you up to $1,299 cash back just for depositing crypto? Femex, OG cryptocurrency exchange, available to everyone everywhere. You might need VPN in some cases, but here's the deal they got for you right now. Deposit $1,000, get $200 back. Deposit $10,000, $999 cash back money. 15K deposited, $1,299 cash back. That's insane. These are huge cash bonuses. If that wasn't crazy enough, they're also going to instantly upgrade you to VIP level 2 exclusively when using my link right down here. That's 50% off your spot trading fees, 40% off your futures trading fees. This ain't some tiny bonus. If you're trading a lot, you know how much these fee discounts add up. You know how sweet the bonuses are. This is a serious opportunity for active traders to stack rewards and to slash costs. Femex is a proven exchange, is OG cryptocurrency exchange. I've literally been trading there for years, okay? But this promo will not last forever. It's not going to last for years. It's a limited time offer. So hit the link down below. Check it out. Start trading the way you should with freedom. So let's dive into just a few reasons, a few picked out of the hat here. BlackRock's Biddle Treasury Fund, Robinhood's tokenized trading system, JP Morgan's Onyx platform, Franklin Templeton's Benji Fund, Fidelity's big focus on Ethereum, Goldman Sachs tokenized initiative, Bank of America and Citibank talking about launching stablecoins. Where do you think that's going to happen at? Ethereum, and on and on and on. So here's the deal. Currently, there's a lot of fundamental tailwinds, okay? Tom laid out the bull case here. We've talked about a lot of stuff on the channel before. Hundreds of billions of dollars in stablecoins coming on chain. ETH stands to benefit the most from that. The SEC's push to further tokenize financial assets. ETH probably benefits the most from that. Wall Street players already have started building on Ethereum, okay? And that's, of course, not even mentioning the growing list of publicly traded ETH treasury companies, which are just pouring gargantuan sums of money into ETH specifically. Ethereum's fee situation has improved in the ETH ETFs. Well, holy cow, we had $1 billion inflow day this week, guys. It's all creating a very compelling picture that maybe ETH has a lot more upside than what some of us have been thinking. And again, I was very bearish on ETH at the start of the year, not from just a price perspective, but from the fact that Wall Street wasn't buying, that the devs weren't listening. But things have changed, and you have to change with the markets. You have to adapt. So what about the charts right now? Well, you'll remember from the first clip we showed that one of FundStrat's researchers thinks ETH should get back to the 0.14 valuation against BTC. That's loco, bro. And assuming Bitcoin is priced at $120,000 when that happens, that indeed is a $16,000 ETH. But I don't see a vacuum where ETH just pumps to $16,000 and Bitcoin doesn't go higher than 120K. Can ETH realistically do this in our current cycle? Well, here's my plain and simple answer. Probably not. Look, if we're still under the traditional 4-year cycle, then no. And yes, if we're under an extended cycle, there's a moment when that could happen. If it does happen, it's going to be very, very short-lived though, okay? And I don't think that should be the base case looking for such a strong ratio versus Bitcoin. It's not for any sustained kind of time. But we are seeing serious Wall Street migration from the traditional system over to Ethereum, and that's very noteworthy. So let's break down what I've just said with regards to the no. If ETH was to hit 16K under the 4-year cycle, then that would mean the price would have to do this within the next 4.5 months, which is not impossible for crypto to do. We certainly can, but it's not the most likely scenario. I mean, come on, that's pretty epic for crypto, especially at this stage and how big everything is. However, if we're in an extended cycle, which I think there's more and more case for that to be made, this is the maturation phase, the Wall Street phase, the institutional phase, whatever. So let's be generous here. Let's say we get an extended cycle through 2026 and 2027. That gives ETH another 2 years to try to make this move. That's most definitely within the realm of possibility in that scenario, especially given ETH's 3.618 Fibonacci line for this cycle is just below $16,000. Of course, we've talked about that extensively here on the channel for years now, okay? So that's it, a $16,000 ETH with a market cap that goes from its current $520 billion to about $2 trillion, which is a stupid valuation for Ethereum. But hey, why not? Screw it. Let's do $2 trillion ETH. But to repeat, the condition here on ETH completing such a move is that we see a real serious shift sustained by Wall Street to tokenize and move stocks and bonds onto Ethereum, that we see treasury companies keep buying, that we see continued ETF inflows because Ethereum is going to have a major price shock from this stuff happening. Remember, the US stock and bonds markets are respectively valued at $62 and $55 trillion. Therefore, Ethereum only needs a significant but very minor portion of these assets moved over in order for it to see massive hype in business. And that's really what made this statement from Tom Lee so damn interesting.
The second is the SEC is pushing forward with Project Crypto, which is actually asking Wall Street to move the entire financial system onto the blockchain.
So just to wrap everything up, yes, a $16,000 ETH is indeed possible. The fib lines and all that stuff support that, but it'll need to be an extended cycle for that to happen, in my opinion, with Wall Street effectively selecting Ethereum to be their primary blockchain for tokenization and trading. That's how I see the price target getting hit. The good news for us is that we can keep track of all of this as it unfolds. So we can track which blockchains that the big institutions, the Wall Street goons, are going to select to do their stable coins on and all that kind of stuff, and which blockchain, if any, that BlackRock selects for their new exchange in Texas, which is going to be tokenizing everything. You know BlackRock's going for that. All that kind of stuff. And by the way, this is all about ETH, but Solana also benefits from all of this stuff. Okay, we don't even have a Solana ETF yet. We do have Solana treasury companies. Solana is a second home for stable coins. So a lot of these tailwinds for ETH are also good for Solana, even though that's not the topic of this video. BlackRock's new Texas Stock Exchange, or the TXSE, could get SEC approval this quarter and could launch as early as Q1 of next year if indeed this exchange goes to a blockchain-based trading model, as some are rumoring right now. That's big. And if Ethereum is selected as one of the rails, if not the rails, probably one of the rails, ETH, Solana, something else, well, that's the type of stuff that sends the ETH to 16K, isn't it? It is. Thanks for watching.